You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Tuesday, March 3rd. Thank you guys so much for joining us. However you're taking the show in, whatever platform that you're on. Thank you for joining us today. A cloudy, dreary, rainy March day in the Quad Cities. So no reason to do anything but relax, sit back, and enjoy Off the Air on a Tuesday right here in the QC. I do want to thank everyone for allowing me to take the day off yesterday. Of course, a 3-day weekend for myself. Yesterday, no show. I attended the funeral for Father Mirabelli. It was a beautiful service done at Sacred Heart in Moline as well. So between Sunday and the visitation Monday and just the stories shared by Father, everything was done so well. He will be sorely and dearly missed. But Father will live on when it comes to everything that goes on at Alleman High School and the Quad Cities area. That's, I think, the coolest thing is that you saw an outpouring of support from not just Alleman people, but from Quad Cityans alike. So that was very, very cool. If you missed last Monday's show, so it was February 23rd, myself, John Marks, Larry Schulte, legendary head coach of the Alleman basketball program, and Pat Rangel, a former student athlete and coach at Alleman as well, shared some stories and did kind of a Father Mirabelli segment on that show. If you missed it, go back and check it out. Really enjoyed doing that. We'll continue to talk about Father throughout the next couple weeks right here on Off the Air. But that's why there was no show yesterday. I had several messages of, hey, why no show? It's a great time of year. I get that. It was an awesome Monday to do a show, priorities though. And so we have an even fuller Tuesday to get to right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. If you're watching us on YouTube live, we appreciate that. Thank you for doing it. Make sure you're subscribing. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do that. Like it, give us your comments, feedback, all of those kind of things, and then tell a bunch of people about what we're doing each and every weekday right here in the Quad Cities. It started over a year ago. Numbers are awesome. The response from you guys have been great. But still some that don't know about what we're doing, and we want everybody to be involved when it comes to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. So tell a friend or two or 10 about what we're doing each and every day at 10 a.m. We're live on X as well. X, always very good to us. So if you're on X and watching the show, thank you for doing that as well. You can check out the show on all the podcasting platforms that exist, whether it's Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast, put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Listen to the show every single day. We wrap things up around noon. It's usually up going on the podcasting platforms by 12:30 right away. So make sure you check out that last week's shows, all of those things as well. And then also welcome to our viewers in Central Iowa. We're on the WHO Plus streaming app each and every weeknight as well. So welcome to you guys as well. Today's show, a lot to get to. It was a very busy weekend of college basketball. We'll try to wrap it all up in a couple different segments. Coming up in just a matter of moments is our good friend Kedric Prince. It was not a good night on Friday for Ked or the Fighting Illini. They lost to Michigan in what was an extremely impressive performance from Michigan. I walked away from that game more impressed with Michigan than anything else. Maybe more impressed with any team I've seen in college basketball this past season or this season than before. Michigan, really, really good. We'll talk about that game. Senior night for the Illini coming up tonight. They welcome Oregon to town. A lot of Illinois basketball to get to. Also, we'll talk some Illinois women's basketball as well. Shauna Green doing a good job in Champaign. Nearly upsetting Iowa last week. Nearly getting Minnesota as well. The Illini are an NCAA tournament team and one that you're not going to want to see in the NCAA tournament because I think it's a really talented young basketball team. So more on that with Kedric Prince coming up in just a little bit. We'll also talk Hawkeyes as well. It was a miserable Saturday morning if you're an Iowa fan, watching Iowa go to Penn State like they have so often before and lose to the Nittany Lions in a game that they have no business losing. Losing late, blowing a 5-point lead late. Just not a great Saturday for Iowa basketball. Now they turn their attention to Michigan on Thursday and then a trip to Nebraska on Sunday. It won't be an easy week. We'll talk about the Hawkeyes' disappointing trip to Happy Valley and someone who tweeted afterwards, the honeymoon is over for Ben McCullum, Trent Condan from the Miller and Condon show on the Iowa Sports Radio Network and also the host of Locked On Iowa will join us to talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes, a little Iowa State as well, because they lost on Saturday and they lost last night to Arizona. Jake Brend coming your way on Wednesday. But we'll talk a lot of that with Trent Condan coming up later in hour number 1 of the show. And then in hour number 2, it's a busy time for high school basketball. The Riverdale Boys won a regional last weekend. on Friday. They'll play tonight against a very good Peoria Manual team at IVC in the IVC sectional. We'll be joined by the Rams coming up in hour number 2 of the show as well. So a ton to get to. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll start with some news and notes from a busy Monday in sports. It is the state tournament taking center stage in Des Moines right now. The ladies there, and it was Maquoketa winning their first ever state game, knocking off Mediapolis in a battle of local teams for us, 57-23 the final. Maquoketa making school history, doing it in a very impressive way. Aubrey Croyman, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, 19.7 rebounds. The Cardinals had 20 steals. They forced 29 turnovers. Defense, the name of the game in this one, holding Meepo to just 23 points. So it'll be Maquoketa playing again on Thursday at 3:15 against the winner of Des Moines Christian and Forest City. So we will keep our eyes on that. Hopefully we will be joined by the Maquoketa girls sometime this week, probably tomorrow. We thought about sneaking it in today. I don't think with everything going on that's going to happen, but hopefully we'll chat with the Maquoketa girls coming up on tomorrow's show. They get ready for the state semifinals, and every victory, every game they have now will be history making for that school. So very cool for a Maquoketa community up north of the Quad Cities as well. We mentioned the college basketball weekend. It was just awful. Last night it was Iowa State losing their second straight game to Arizona, lost that by 16. That's followed up by a loss to Texas Tech at home over the weekend. So the Iowa State's now lost 3 out of 4. We'll talk more clones coming up in a little bit as well. And then a bunch of stuff going on in the NFL. We'll talk more about it the last segment of this show, but David Montgomery traded by the Lions. We'll kind of talk a little more about that, what it means to the division and all of those kind of things. I had several Bears fans say to me, the Bears now have the best running game in the division. You could put me on Detroit, and as long as Jahmyr Gibbs is there, we'd be the best duo in the division. So it doesn't, let's pump the brakes on that. So we'll talk more about that. And also Max Crosby might be traded, any minute. And according to Vegas, there's one team in the NFC North that are the favorites to land Max Crosby. We'll talk all about that coming up a little bit later on in hour number 2 of the show as well. But we'll start with college basketball. It was a bad Friday night, but the Illini can turn the page with a game tonight as well. It's time to catch up on everything Illinois. So joining us now to talk all about the Illini and a little bit of everything, Kedric Prince. First and foremost, and I meant to say this to you a couple weeks ago, you already have one adorable grandkid. Like, do you have room for another one?
There's always room for grandkids, Mike. They're fun. They're not mine. I can play with them, have fun with them, make them do bad things, and then leave when I'm done.
I love it.
I'm good at that.
No, that's my dad would always say I can just spoil them and give them back to you. So, well, congratulations. That's going to be just cool as heck to see. What wasn't cool, I guess, was Friday night. Kid, I got done and I said to another buddy that I think that's one of the best Big Ten teams I've seen in a while. I think Brad Underwood said it after the game that it was one of the best talented teams he's seen since he's been in the Big Ten. Was Friday night more about Michigan, or was it was more about Illinois? I looked at it, I was just impressed with Michigan more than anything else.
I think it's a combination of both. Brad did say he'd like to see him again at least twice. Illinois didn't play well, and I have to give Michigan credit. They beat Illinois. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses so some Michigan fans don't start crying on social media like they have been for the last few days. I'm an honest man. They beat Illinois, and it is what it is. And, we can talk about what Illinois did the last 9 times. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. They got beat Friday night, and in Illinois, they didn't play well. They just didn't. And, they didn't make shots. And I've said it multiple times. If Illinois is going to compete and win and have any chance to win, they better make threes. That's just in a nutshell. I think they became one-dimensional last Friday. They settled on that, and Michigan took them out of a lot of stuff. They did. So hats off to them. I'm not going to say I'm happy for them because really care about their program. But I worry about what's in my house, in my little house, and what I control, and I don't control Illinois, but there are some concerns for me. And with that game, and you look at other teams that they play, what are you going to do in a tournament like that? If a team like that, you face Michigan again or in the Big Ten tournament, how are you going to match them? Their physicality. They're physical. They're a big team, and Illinois is big. We've all heard it for over 30 games how tall they are. That doesn't mean anything if you're not going to match Michigan's, how physical they are. And credit to Dusty May, he put a great roster together. They're tough. I mean, I think the two best teams in college basketball, is Arizona and Michigan. I'm okay with saying that because it's the truth. There's some other teams out there that can be beat. Michigan can be beat. If you remember, Northwestern had them down by 15 points, I think, in the second half. Yeah. College basketball is different. Curtis Clark, he's a former coach at Bendorf. We were talking earlier, and he was telling me the same thing. It's different now. I mean, you can be beat, and if you don't bring your A game, it's different.
Ken, you mentioned that I agree with you. The two teams I've seen that stood out is Arizona, and I think it was when they went to Houston and beat Houston the way they did. And you look at Michigan going on the road to another outstanding environment and winning. Those, in my opinion, are the two best teams. But I do think there's 8 teams that if they won the championship this year, I wouldn't be shocked if they did. Right. But with that being said, you look at those teams and Michigan beats you inside. Not just Illinois, but just teams in general inside. They can shoot it, and then Arizona just pounds the ball inside. And you mentioned Illinois missing threes and maybe living and dying by that. You have the pulse of Illinois Nation. You're on social media. You feel it. Is there a panic, concern about the fans losing 2 straight games? Should there be, even if there is? I know there's things you want to see different, but where are you big picture when it comes to Illinois basketball as we're a week away from the Big Ten tournament?
The fans are upset. Let me start with them. And I understand it. They lost to UCLA on a last-second shot. That's demoralizing when you're up 33-10 or something like that, whatever they were. That you don't come back, and people, from what I see, I can't speak for anybody else's social media accounts or phone calls. People are upset about the lack of preparation, that there's no adjustments made. People are frustrated because they think they can't have good things. There's luck doesn't go their way. There's a number of things that you feel. But for me, moving forward, I've said it all year, and then for the people listening, we have a host on one of my other shows. Marcus Griffin is a guest on our show, former Illini great and Peoria legend. And he's always talked about how Illinois doesn't use their post because they're so enamored with the 3. I don't like analytics. Everybody else in the world does. Just because everybody else in the world likes it doesn't mean Kedric has to like it, because I don't. Because you can sit and say 3s are great, and they are great when they go in, but what are you going to do when they don't go in? What are you going to do different? And the reason I brought up Marcus Griffin, because he talked about the lack of post play. They don't utilize it. The 2 big fellas they got, and I'm not saying it's them, it's the offense. I'm not there. I'm not coaching it. I don't know what they're being told, but they would much rather go to the perimeter. And I think there's not just against Michigan, because I don't think it would have worked against Michigan. I just think Michigan had Illinois' number Saturday or Friday night. But there were so many times that they could have really abused people in the post, especially Tommy Ibisic, because he is good in the post. But I think that's a concern for me. What are they going to do differently if the shots aren't falling? Are you going to continue to do that? What adjustments are you going to make with it? So do I think this team is talented? I certainly do. They're certainly more talented than last year. And I think the rest of the country believes it, because if you look at, they fell in the polls this week to 11. They have more losses than anybody that's in that top 10 or 15. And there's a reason for that. People know how good they can be. And you got a guy like Keaton Wagler on the roster who you need. Everybody has to have that NBA guy on the roster. They have that guy. So, moving forward, I think if they're going to get in the tournament, a lot of it's going to be draws. I mean, if you get the right draw, that matters. I mean, and I'll end with this, so I'm not rambling. I used to really, really get upset about upsets and things. Matt, I'm different. I'm more wise because my philosophy is it's not going to change. You only have to be good for one day. You do, and the best team doesn't always win. When I mentioned Curtis Clark, he was explaining to me the scenario with Purdue and Ohio State, Iowa losing to Penn State. It doesn't matter. You got to bring it. And that's why I said on one day, if you're bad, you go home. So Illinois, if the good teams to me, they can all defend and they can rebound and they have to have that guy. You cannot go to tournament. And, I don't know if you remember one of my friends, Devon Binion, he made a comment to me today. He was like, kid, think about it. How many teams you seen in the Final Four shoot threes the way Illinois does? He's like, you don't see them. And there's a reason for it. So there's a lot of things out there, a lot of myths, things that you believe and don't believe, but it's working for Coach Underwood because they're one of the best teams in the country.
No, I agree with a lot of what you said. You look at it, Ked, and this team now gets senior night at Oregon, and I think not at Oregon, against Oregon at home. And I think big picture wise, you're right. The one thing I was almost past my concern for Illinois because I know how good they are, but during the season it always seemed matchup driven, like you already mentioned to me and to us. And I got to a point where before this past week I was like, it almost doesn't matter matchups. I thought this was a good enough basketball team that they could withstand. I still think they can do that and do a lot of good things. But with that being said, you mentioned bad matchups could eventually get them. What concerns you on the court when you talk about matchups? What's a bad matchup for Illinois, or is it just a cold shooting night? When you rely on, you mentioned shooting threes, is it just that if you don't shoot it well for one night, you might go home? Is that what you more concerned with than actual X's and O's?
Both of those, and I'm concerned about the 3-point shooting and X's and O's. But the bigger thing is for me, I'm gonna tell you, Illinois they don't hide it. Coach Tyler Underwood is the core offensive coordinator down there, and he's mentioned, in multiple interviews, they go matchup hunting. They go look for guys that they can exploit matchups. So here's the other concern. Michigan, you couldn't do that. Who did you get to exploit? So What are you going to do if you can't exploit a matchup? Because they didn't give you anybody. There wasn't one guy on that roster. I thought Colin Boswell kind of got going early, which I liked in the second half. I don't know if he didn't do it. Michigan made adjustments. They shut him down a little bit. But those are concerns for me. You can't, be one-dimensional and expect to advance in the tournament. And what Illinois needs to understand, and maybe they do, maybe they don't, there's a target on their back, whether people like Illinois or not. Brad mentioned this in the press conference last Friday night. Teams celebrating the court when they lose and things like that. That means that they've arrived. That means they're a good program and that people want to beat them. They play Oregon and they play Maryland. Maryland's always had Illinois numbered. Well, they go to Maryland this year. Anything can happen. They have a player he was capable of putting up 40 points a game. Again, you only have to be good for one night. Everybody's panicking against Michigan and Iowa when they play. I'll tell you what, we talk about odds because it's fun to talk about. I'm not a big gambler. That stuff goes out the window to me, man. I'm sorry, because you can get beat. You really can.
You look at a kid, and it's senior night tonight against Oregon. Before we talk about the seniors themselves, actually, let's talk seniors first, because in today's day and age of college basketball, seniors are hard to come by sometimes when it comes to moving and so on. It's Boswell, it's Humrickhouse. Is there any others tonight? Those are two?
Yeah, well, those are the two that see the court. I think there's Red is another kid who doesn't play any extensive minutes, but those are the two kids that I know going into the season. It's kind of funny that with the NCAA, they were hoping they were going to get an extra year, but those are the two kids that Illinois is going to lose.
You look at those two, and I think they're both really important. And can you talk to both? And I guess we'll start with Kylan Boswell, because things have changed. I mean, he was probably one role one last year, a little different this year. Parts around him are different, but he plays defense. He can be that spark plug. He's a really good guard. Your thoughts on Kylan Boswell and maybe the impact he's had on the Illinois program the last couple of years?
Well, I'm really happy for him, number one, and I give kudos to Illinois assistant coach Jeff Alexander. I tell you, I mean, he's been with Brad Underwood since he's been there, and Jeff worked really hard. There's very few kids that I know Jeff Alexander worked harder to get, and Kylan Boswell was one. I know he was heartbroken when he went to Arizona. Then when he went to transfer portal, Jeff pulled up his sleeves and went back to work. And the reason I'm saying that is because he's a kid that they wanted. Not only the fact that he's a Champaign kid, I do think that's great. I think that's good for Kylan. I'm happy for him. I had a chance to talk to his dad once in the last few months, and we talked about how his son has played with so many different foreign players. Because if you think about it, Arizona, when he was there, they had a lot of foreign players too, and we were talking about communication. That's hard because some of those players they don't speak fluent English, and sometimes it's tough. And so Cardinals had to raise his game and lead by example. I was hoping he would win a Defensive Player of the Year award, but some of those awards just seem to go to people. You got to lead the Big Ten in steals to get it. I mean, he is a tough physical kid. I like how competitive he is, and when you see some of the clips from Illinois social media, he's really good and sociable with the kids. And I know fans who are listening to this, he played a really big part in Keaton Wagler's success. If you like Keaton Wagler, you have to give a lot of that to Kylan, not just because they competed in practice, but the confidence that he instilled in him and how he helped him. And Keaton said that himself, going against Kylan every day early in his career when he was down there helped make him better. So, I think I was hoping he got another year because he really, really is a good kid. And he came to Illinois and did exactly what he wanted to do. And, Illinois was on the map and he helped keep them on the map. And right now he is playing on the 11th best team in the country. So whether it's his home team or not, he's playing on a nationally ranked team and he's on the big stage.
Ken, it's funny you mentioned Defensive Player of the Year because you're right. And so often the votes go to the guy who leads the league in blocks or steals. And I don't think voters sit and watch Kylan Boswell for 40 minutes of basketball night and find out, there's no stat column that says guarding the screen roll correctly or, those kind of things. And I think you appreciate him when you watch him more often than not. I think that's a really good point. Humrickhouse, he's a guy that he's been through it, I think, and I don't want to misquote you, but you've probably apologized a couple times to him on X this year. Was it you or was it others? Because he he didn't play well last year. And I remember when they kind of said, hey, he's coming back, I think he announced that he was coming back to Illinois. And I kind of is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's been a very good thing. He's accepted that role. He shot it a lot better. Kind of talk about his senior year because he's completely changed the narrative of what his Illinois career's been like just this year.
The one thing about Illinois, I can't speak for other programs, when you are a older kid and you play in Brad Underwood's system and you come back for a second year, i.e. Terrence Shannon, you play really well. I mean, I'm not comparing the two players, but when he came into the program, the expectations, were not set by Kedric. I didn't set those expectations, but all we heard, was that this kid's an NBA prospect. He can shoot the basketball. He's 6'9". But the system he played in Evansville is not the same system in Illinois. When he got to Illinois last year, all he was doing was just shooting threes. And remember at the start of this broadcast, if you're not making threes, you're struggling. I mean, that's your job. And then he wasn't a great defensive player. And Coach, Underwood made a joke about him a few games ago about he couldn't guard Tom Izzo's mom or something like that because he couldn't guard. And I did apologize, because one, I shouldn't do that anyway as a media guy. But it was frustrating to me because people would come, I would do different podcasts, and everybody would talk about these stupid analytics. I don't care about analytics. My eyes are still good. I'm telling you, when you miss a shot, you miss a shot. I don't care who's better on the floor when he's on the floor or what the numbers say. You're not making shots. This year, he's a different person. Maybe it's because he married Adelia McKenzie, a former Illinois basketball player. A lot of people make jokes because he got married. I'm just kidding. But he's a different kid, and I apologize because I was so harsh and frustrated. Because my frustration was this, and everybody else could have been different. The kid has a beautiful shot, and I couldn't understand why it wasn't going in either. I was frustrated because you see him play well. Last year they went to Oregon. He looked like he was one of the best players in the country, and then the next 2 weeks he couldn't. He was probably 2 for 14. So that part of it stinks, and I'm glad he stayed the course. The one thing I would say about him, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to talk to Matt or anybody who's listening to the show, if you've ever interviewed him, he is by far one of the nicest guys, and I'm not going to lie. I don't get that. Matt, you've done this for years. There's some people I interview and I can't wait to hang the phone up with. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk to him face to face. This dude is smart. He's intelligent. He's confident. He believes in his faith. He's just a really good kid. So seeing him do well and being there, and he's appreciative. One thing before I get off here, he made a comment and he was at Evansville because the budgets are different. They don't have the money. And when he got to go travel in the Big Ten and planes and the hotels, it was like Christmas for him. It was different. The food that he ate, he really liked it. So it's a cute story coming from a kid like that who's really appreciative. And, I think people are going to miss how important he is. Matt, he rebounds, he plays defense. He's a person that I don't know what the roster is going to look like next year, but they're going to miss him if they can't replace him. He's had a really good senior year.
It's funny, Ked, because Cooper Koch has gone through a shooting slump in Iowa, and it was 6 games. He broke out of it over the weekend, and I just kept saying that shooters don't forget how to shoot. And I know it was a longer one, but I go back to Peyton Sanford, who's as good of a shooter in Iowa's ever had, that went through a long one, maybe his sophomore or junior year. And that's what I kept on thinking with Hummerkaus last year. It's like he didn't forget how to shoot. And so it's good to see. Right. And shooters sometimes go through it. I don't know. Were you a shooter, Ked? Could you shoot it?
Matt, that was what I was good at. I'm gonna tell you. That's why I struggled with it. My kids. We go at it. And I think years ago we would talk, and I go to the gym, and I'll tell you a funny story. The 3 of us, me and my 2 kids, we were great free throw shooters. Both of my kids, you can look it up. Everything's online. My son still holds a record at State Farm Classic for making the consecutive free throws in a row. Both of my kids shot over 90% from the free throw line. We freak out when we see kids can't shoot free throws or make shots. I was a good shooter, so I forced it on my kids, and I told them, if you can shoot, they'll find a spot for you on the floor. If you can put the ball in the basket, you have to defend. But you cover both of my kids in their careers, and they put up some amazing numbers. So, yes, that was what I was good at. But I think that's why I don't get mad at Coach Underwood for kids shooting threes.
But did you ever go through it? Did you ever go through it when like your shot wasn't there? I mean, in Keelan, I'm trying to think. I don't know if Keelan ever struggled, but like there's got to be a game, some stretches where sometimes you're just cold.
You know what I did, and this is I'm not recommending this. I was so competitive at shooting. There was different things I did with the basketball. I mean, like for an example, I'd move my left hand. Sometimes I flipped my wrist harder. I would do different things because I was so competitive of shooting the basketball because I wanted to make sure it went in. Because there's different ways. I mean, rotation. Like, here's a funny thing. When I shoot a free throw, the rotation is perfect. And I learned this from a coach when I was in 7th grade. And I shoot a free throw, Matt. If you make a free throw and you shoot it with the rotation, if it doesn't hit the rim, 10 out of 10 times the ball will come back to you. My kids thought I was lying to them. Then I proved it to them. They start doing it. So to answer your question, yes, I was a very good shooter because every trick in the world I used. All
right, we're a little off subject, but who's the best? No, I got to ask another question. Who's the best shooter in the Prince family?
Household? I'm going to say it's me.
Of
I
course.
think Keelan was second. I would say Keelan second, but when Kennedy got on the roll, she was better than all of us when she got on the roll. Like in one of her games in college, she put up 40-some points, and she put up 8 or 9 threes. I was like, I couldn't believe it. But I never did that. I'm not going to lie to you. Then Keelan put up 40-something in a summer league game. So, but
did they have a 3-point line when you were in high school?
No, it came out the next year. The very next year.
Just off.
Yeah.
It would have changed everything. Kedric Prince joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Oregon tonight, is there there's not a concern. There can't be. I think it's an 18-point line. It's senior night. You're back at home. You've lost 2 straight. You're not losing the 3rd straight. That you beat them the first time by 32 at their place. I know that they're playing a little better. They beat Wisconsin recently, maybe something like that. There's talk about tonight's game, and there's no concerns, are there?
Man, there's always concerns. I mean, you just mentioned the spread. I mean, Illinois was favored last Friday night. What happened? They got beat, man. They got beat. Yeah. And those things don't matter to me. Right now, I don't take any team for granted. I don't, because anything can happen. And the thing with the Big Ten, I don't think people realize, I'm not going to throw names out there. I know people are going to probably hold me to this and probably call the federal government because I don't give names out. But there are 2 kids, Matt, that I know that their parents told me. One kid played in the Big Ten, he left, and another kid was being recruited by a bunch of Big Ten schools. And he made the comment that they don't like playing in the Big Ten because the coaching is so good. It's hard, Matt. Matt, tell me a team that you can't lose to. They will tell you. They take everything away. Look at how well Keaton Wagner scores. Look at, Bennett Sturridge. And these guys, they're great players. But in the Big Ten, these parents and these kids will tell you, I can't speak for any other coach. I've heard Brad Underwood say it multiple times. There are so many good coaches, and you have to they prepare so well. I'm not talking talent in the SEC or Big 12. I'm talking coaches. Mm-hmm. Anybody who does recruiting will tell you that it is the toughest league to play in because it is hard to go out and score, and they take things away. So what Oregon's going to do tonight, I don't know. I know they were without their big man for a while, and I think he's back. And Little, his name, I think he's back. So, I don't know, and hopefully nobody gets injured because those things happen. And you have a bad shooting night. What if they start shooting the ball well? I thought for sure they beat UCLA, and they lost. Should they win on paper? Games don't win on paper. Heck yes, they should. Will they?
You mentioned coaching. I think that's why the Big Ten is going to be really good in the NCAA tournament, is because once you get outside of the league and knowing each other so well and knowing personnel, knowing what coaches like to do, not only the coach is good, but Brad Underwood knows what Matt Painter wants to do and what, and what, I mean, that's the thing is I think once they get outside the league, I think and conference, it's going to be even a bigger advantage for the Big Ten. Ked, you look at the big picture for Illinois. They're a 2 seed. Are they still a 2 seed? If they win both these games, they're a 2 seed. What have you looked at recently, and where can they be when it comes to the Big Ten or to the NCAA tournament?
I think they're a 2 seed. I think if they lose one of these games, I think they automatically drop to a 3. I do believe that. I don't think the Big Ten tournament matters for anybody unless there's a team who's not in the tournament. Because we talked about this before. There's so many teams. When the committee puts their brackets together, Matt, whoever's in the Big Ten, because they're one of the last teams to play, you think they just throw them in a slot in 50 seconds? It doesn't work that way. They already know. They know where these teams are going to be heading into it. So I don't think Illinois, if Illinois won one or 2 games and got beat, it's not going to affect their seed. It's not. And I know the committee will take for a lot of teams injuries into play. Illinois had this year like everybody else. But I think if they slip up and lose at home or lose to Maryland, I think that's bad. Because if you look at Illinois' roster this year, other than Michigan spanking them last, Friday night, they don't have bad losses. No. They were in overtime games. They don't have on their roster. You cannot look at Illinois' roster and say that's a bad loss.
Yeah, what is that's it? Why is it UConn? UConn got UCLA on the UCLA on the road in overtime, Wisconsin at home in overtime, Michigan State on the road in overtime. Hasn't 3 of them been overtime losses?
Yes. And then Nebraska on the last second shot.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. And you're the term I liked. I can't remember where I heard it, but the cake is baked. Come Big Ten tournament time. And I used to, Ken, and I've changed recently. I used to be so excited for the Big Ten tournament, and I still am. I enjoy it, all those kind of things. But I watched Illinois win it and then struggle in the NCAA tournament. I watched Iowa win it. And then lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament to Richmond or whatever. I think sometimes it's almost a hindrance to the one that matters, and that's the NCAA tournament coming up the following week as well. Big Ten wise, is it Michigan a 1 seed, Illinois a 2 seed, Nebraska maybe a 2 seed? Purdue's almost playing their way out of a 2 seed, aren't they?
Yeah, I've complained about their fans because how I get along with them. Not Michigan is about to take that reign, but I kind of feel bad. Matt Painter's a good guy. He really is. And that group of seniors been together for a long time. And, I think personally, people have kind of figured them out. I mentioned about coaching. I'm telling you, look at what Dusty May did to Keaton Wagner. Put a big guard on that kid. Make it tough for him. Because can he score still? Yeah, he did really well. But I feel bad for Purdue. And I think when you look at their schedule, and I know I'm probably going to be, hung on the cross for saying this, Matt, look at their schedule, man. Who do they really beat that's good, even out of non-conference, man?
For Purdue?
I don't know why people – yes. No, some people still have them as a good 4. You go look at their non-conference schedule. Alabama was a great win on the road. It was. But they're not the team that we thought. Illinois lost to them too, so I'm not going to sit and say that they didn't lose to them, but they lost. I mean, like they lose to Michigan State, lost to Michigan State. They lost to Illinois. They're losing games that they should. Then they went to Indiana and got beat. So I don't know. They're going backwards. I think some teams I think they're moving forward, but they're going backwards. And Nebraska, I think, should be a 3 seed. I think they'll get their first tournament win ever. I really do believe that. I'm just not sold on them either because they're a lot like Illinois.
Yeah.
Kind of make threes, man.
No, I mean, as an Iowa guy, I'm looking ahead to the Iowa's schedule, and I'm like, Michigan at home, yes, it's at home is almost damn near impossible. I almost think for Iowa going to Nebraska, like you just mentioned, it's going to be a hornet's nest. They beat them earlier. It's going to be a tough environment, all that kind of stuff. But you mentioned it. If they don't make shots, they just don't. Like Michigan can beat you with the 3, but if they need to, they'll just pound you inside. A couple more, and then I gotta let you go. I know you're a busy man. Can you nicely? I don't even think you can. Is there any way Iowa can hang with Michigan on Thursday night? I watched what I watched on Friday in Champaign. I can't see a world where Iowa hangs with Michigan. You don't see that, do you?
Yeah.
Can you help me?
Let me answer your question.
Help me.
Yes, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna give you Iowa fans some good therapy. Should Iowa win? No, they should not. Will Michigan win, Matt? I'm not gonna change, man. One day, just remember that. Yeah. Iowa has to be good for one day, and Michigan has to be bad. Here's an example. Okay, I don't want to take a bunch of your time either.
No, you're fine.
I know you watched. I watched your show. I know you did the Iowa Illinois women. I know you watched that game, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk to you next.
The Illinois women were 14.5-point underdogs going into that game. Nobody in the country, if I had $1 for every person that came up to me the next day or day after next, talking about Illinois women and how they had a chance to win, they were up by 6 points with 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game. Man, anything is possible. So I'm not going to sit here and say Iowa can't beat Michigan because if Michigan is cold, what if, anybody gets in foul trouble?
Letdown game? I'm hoping like a letdown game after beating Illinois the way they did.
I don't see a letdown. I think Dusty has his team prepared. And I'm going to tell you, Illinois wasn't a letdown either. Illinois came out prepared last Friday night. Yeah. So I want people to understand that they were not. They just got outplayed. That's all it was. Yeah. And my thing is, though, even in the tournament, everybody said, okay, well, this team beat this one, or this team beat this one, Penn State did this. That doesn't matter. I don't know why people keep thinking because you just gave an example. Oregon beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin came to Champaign and beat them. Why use that analogy? And then people say, "Oh, they lost 2 in a row. They're going to be motivated." Damn it, they should be motivated every time. I mean, why would you not have a chance? Why would you not want to go out and play hard and be prepared to get after people? I don't know. Iowa's a tough place to play right now, and I think it's going to take some time. I know there's a lot of empty seats, but I tell you, Bennett gets hot and he gets on a roll. Anything is possible if your role players step up. In the tournament. That's why you have, I guess, upsets. So I'm interested in the game. I'm not saying I was not going to, but
you're interested because it's college basketball, and Kedric Prince watches college basketball. That's what he does. I've meant to ask you about Morez. Watching him on Friday night, did you have an emotion, a thought, anything when it came to Morez going back to Champaign and playing well?
You know what? About the game itself, I'm not surprised. A lot of people were mad at him. I wasn't. I've known the kid since he was in 9th grade, number one. So for me, my relationship with him was a little different than everybody else's. Morez was always a good kid to me. I've interviewed that kid probably 15 times, and I'm not kidding you, even before he even got to college. I went to different places all over the state to watch that kid play basketball. And whatever reason he left, I've had conversations with his dad, and I had a conversation with Morez when he left, and people are twisting words and things like that on social media. If a parent tells me something, or if a kid tells me something, or a coach, I have to trust their judgment. I do. The one thing I want people to understand, if you're about this podcast, and I will tell you, lying to me is not an option. I don't lie to people because it's too easy to get caught. So if somebody tells me something like Morez told me why he was leaving, of his father, if anybody, not just the Johnson family, it could be anybody, it could be your family. If they change the story, it is what it is. If they don't, it's what it is. The fans who are mad at Morez, I get it, but this kid is in a good situation. I do think if he played things he's doing at Michigan, he would have did it at Illinois this year. He's a good player. He's strong, and and I'm happy for him. I'm not mad at the kid. He made a good decision. Illinois is not a bad decision. I mean, they're one of the top teams in the country too. So, for fans who are mad at him, I'm past that. What is the point? And I don't even know if it was money or whatever the reason he left. Maybe it was coaching, philosophies, whatever the reason it was. Why get mad at that kid? So, and I don't boo. I think booing is the stupidest thing in the world. I wasn't mad at him. To me, here's my thing, Matt. It's how I raise my kids. If you want to be better than Morez, then go be better than him. The Illinois fans got a player on their roster, 2 players on the roster. If you allow Morez or anybody to come in and do that to you, you deserve it. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm not mad at him. Illinois, they had a jersey uniform. They had an opportunity to go out there and compete. And I'm not mad. I'm not. And I tell you what, I don't care what all the social media says and what's going on. Behind the scenes, that dude's a good kid, man. He really is. And I don't care what all these other adults say. He's a good kid.
Before I let you go, women's basketball the other night, I had so many people say to me, Illinois is good. Like, that was a good it was almost like they, in a loss, introduced themselves to some people that don't even know. And I said, Shauna Green's from Clinton. She grew up an Iowa fan. And in a loss, they still impressed. That's an NCAA tournament team. I know they lost to Minnesota this past weekend, but your thoughts quickly on Illinois women's basketball. They're super young. And Shauna's doing a great job.
Shauna spoiled us. I think she surprised herself. I went down to media day and she was talking about who they lost, and they've lost 80% of their scoring. They got a new group of players, and they're young, but they're talented. They're tall. She spoiled Illinois fans, and because and it's not me just saying this. I don't say it about everybody else. She is an unbelievable coach. I had a conversation with our friend Tom Kakert on Sunday, and we were talking about Illinois women's basketball, and he was telling me the comments that he had privately, not a secret, it's a compliment from some of the Iowa coaches. And one of the Iowa coaches told Tom Kakert, these people better wake up, because in 2 years, if Shauna keep this group together, they're going to be the team that's trying to win the Big Ten championship. So you saw what she did. Her freshmen, she has 2 freshmen. One of them has a legitimate shot at being a freshman of the year in the Big Ten. She led the Big Ten in double-doubles as a freshman, and that includes with Lauren Betts at UCLA, who's 6'6", 6'7", who's going for the rebounding record at Illinois, the scoring record. Destiny Jackson is a point guard, broke the assist record. Barry Wallace went from averaging 6 points a game last year to 19.8. She did a really good job, and Jen said it from Iowa that they're a tough matchup to guard because they do different things, and she runs really good offense. Some people watch the game just because I love basketball so much. I'm an X's and O's guy, and she's good at it. Mm-hmm. She's really, really good, and I think next year they should be better. The hard thing about basketball, not just with women, is keeping them. Yep. She has coached those girls so well. I can assure you, when the season's over, there'll be people calling, knocking on their door, trying to get those players because they're good, Matt. And they beat a good Iowa team. Think about it. They were up by 6 points. I was surprised myself. I'm not going to lie to you. I was really surprised. I thought they would keep it close. She typically doesn't get blown out. They were getting blown out by Minnesota and came back with 14 seconds left, and it was tied at 70. Yeah, she's good. And Illinois' fans, I think some people don't like women's basketball. I'm telling you, you better enjoy this lady. She's good.
Yeah, and they play Nebraska. No, who do they play? I'm messing it up. They play Wisconsin in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, then Michigan State. And if they beat Michigan State, it could be Iowa and Illinois again. I'd be intrigued to see that matchup one more time as well. And Ked, you look at, I think it was, and I'll leave it at this, Coach Jensen was like, they're young. Like, I think she did in the post game. She's like, they're young and they're going to be doggone good. I mean, like she was telling people that was listening, and this is Coach Jensen, that's going to be they're going to be a problem for years to come. So the women's tournament starts this week, the men's next week. Ked has you covered. If you love Illinois athletics, if you love college basketball and you're not following Kedric Prince, shame on you. You should be. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you as always. We'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, buddy. That is Kedric Prince joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. The Illini tonight against Oregon. Senior night down in Champaign. Should be a big night for the Fighting Illini. We got more to get to. You're watching OTA on a Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. We've talked a little bit about it already. It was a yuck weekend when it comes to our college basketball teams in this area. Continued on Monday for one of them. Started on Friday. The Illini, we just talked about it with Kedric Prince. They lost to Michigan pretty handily. Iowa fell at Penn State in a game that, you know, not to be a pessimist, but a game that worried several people, including myself, going into it. And then Iowa State, of course, lost at home this weekend to Texas Tech. They lost last night on Big Monday at Arizona. They've lost 2 straight games. So a lot of losing going on these days, but one guy who's not a loser is our good friend Trent Condan. Trent joins us. He, of course, is the co-host of Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. That's on noon to 2 every day right here in the Quad Cities on WFXN 1230. Also the host of Locked on Iowa as well. Trent, how are you? Good to see you, my friend.
I'm doing well. Yeah, the frustrations of last weekend are subsiding. Certainly not the case for Iowa State fans here in central Iowa where I come from. But yeah, it was just one of those weekends, and starting early Saturday with that Iowa game that you leave scratching your head. And I put out a tweet that I guess rankled a few Hawkeye fans out there. I said the honeymoon is over, and I heard you and Tom Caker talking about that a little bit. And it wasn't to say that, all right, it's time to fire Ben McCollum or that they got the hire wrong. That's not what I was saying at all. What I was saying, though, is I am ready to move past, well, just year one. I'm ready to move past, well, he knows more basketball than me, because obviously that he does. And it's not just losing the game in the fashion that they did, but it was just those questionable substitution patterns. We see Hassan out there as much as it was. There was just so much to it that was head-scratching. The last play of the game, and of course, that's when I ripped off the tweet right after that. And that's probably led to a little bit of the anger also on both sides of the equation. But that's more than anything what I was saying is just let's look a little bit deeper about this squad and just falling back on it's year one. We can't hope for anything more at this point because you still have an All-American point guard. And that's why I never wanted to put a ceiling on this basketball team. When you start there, regardless of what happens, the rest of the guys that play, when you have a guy like that, I just don't want to put a ceiling on this team.
You mentioned the tweet. Of course, Tommy and I did talk about it on the Hawkeye Report podcast, and in a good way, of course. We both know you well. It's one of those things where honeymoon phases, nothing goes wrong. As a guy who's been married for years, because I don't want to get in trouble, but I think 18-ish or whatever, the honeymoon fades over, and it was over with Fran. There was a while for Fran. Mm-hmm. When Fran first came, nothing he could do was wrong. I took it as it's time to be able to ask fair questions. Is that a fair translation of a fiery tweet right after a game?
Absolutely. And that's kind of the way that I looked at it, because I think they got the right coach. I was so happy that McCollum turned out to be the guy compared to Darren DeVries. And I know for most everybody, it was kind of down to those two guys, right? After the decision was made to move on from Fran, realistically, I think that's what most Hawkeye fans were hoping for, one or the other. And I think they got the right guy between those two. I still believe that. Now, there's work that needs to be done, and there's work that needs to be done in the portal. And he's also learning, too. This is still a guy that was just coaching 2 years ago at the D2 level. 1 year at the D1 level with Drake. He's learning, and he's talked about that a bunch. I mean, you've heard it, Matt, when he's meeting with the media and when he goes through with the press conferences. And there was that frustration around the Minnesota loss of getting calls, how to work the officials, those kind of things. There's a lot that he is still learning also at this Division I level, but it also leads to the questions that are out there. And I think it was very surprising too, because I know this happens in basketball, but finding out that he doesn't do the substitutions for the squad. And when you have Hassan out there for 11 minutes in the second half, and it's not that Hassan was making shots either. If he was making threes, yeah, you could understand that. Gives up a play defensively. How you smooth out the rough edges of Alvaro Fulgaris, because Fulgaris is going to be a huge part of this squad next season. He's going to be maybe a centerpiece type of guy. Well, you can't have the inconsistency that we've seen throughout the course of the season from him this year. So that's more than anything what it is starting to question a little bit more instead of just relying on, and I know a lot of fans are just this way, that Hawkeye coach can do no wrong regardless of what's going on. That's not what our job is, though. We need to question things just a little bit.
It's funny because there's the Iowa fans or fans in general that their coach can do no wrong. And then there's the Iowa fans or fans in general that their coach does everything wrong. I think it's okay to have a happy median in life. Let's talk about the game itself, because I mentioned off the top of the segment, it was one of those. It's just Penn State on the road, and if you're an Iowa fan, you get it. It's been since 2019 since they've won out there. Nobody's there. It's a sleepy environment. It's 11 a.m. And they do have some talent. They're not a good basketball team, but it just felt like a bad spot for Iowa coming in. They didn't play bad. They just let Penn State hang around, and Iowa's calling card is defense, and they only gave up 71 points, which isn't crazy. But Penn State shot it so well. I think if Iowa is going to make any noise the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it is, they have to be able to count on that defense. The defense disappointed me on Saturday. What are your thoughts?
We've seen a huge step back from them on the defensive end. Now, I'm a numbers nerd because, well, I'm a degenerate gambler too. So numbers are always something that help me kind of see, all right, what my eyeballs is, if it's matching up with what we're seeing. Going back to January 20th, Iowa in the country is 105th in defensive efficiency, 105th, and that includes 7 wins in there. This is not just taking these last couple of games and putting it there. This is a pretty big sample size, 105th in the country. By the way, Fran McCaffrey's Penn team is better than Iowa defensively during that stretch of games dating back to January 20th. Wow. So as we go kind of full circle on that one, 51st in the country overall in efficiency and wins during that time. Iowa has taken a step back, and they've taken a step back on the defensive end, and you see it game in and game out. And when we look back at these games that are just the most questionable losses on the resume, the road trip to Maryland, Saturday against Penn State, Wisconsin having a lead in that one, letting it get away, even the Minnesota game, the thing that has killed them the most throughout the course of the season is guards getting downhill. And I don't know if it's what they do defensively. They just trying to stack up and play that physical brand of basketball, playing so tough on the ball, being right up in their shorts every single time. And when that happens, if you're not better than a team athletically if that's going to show up. We know they don't have rim protection. They don't have, that prototypical center back behind the defense that's going to swat away shots and change things in the middle. And because of that, they just continually get beat on that. And these teams that we're talking about, the teams that aren't very good, not great offensive teams overall, well, if you can get to the rim, that's an easy shot, right? When you get up there in the 10 and there's nobody to block your shot, that's going to make it much easier. I do wonder if it's time just to take that half step back, right? Stop getting beat off the bounce. Give them a little bit of room. Look, if teams are going to shoot over the top of you and they're going to knock down 10, 12, 14 three-pointers against you, sometimes you just got to throw your hands up and say, what can you do? But when you're doing that, plus giving up the open threes that they are, when guys are getting by in the drive and kick, that's been a big problem, I think, on the defensive end.
Yeah, and it seemed like, so let's go, it's up 5, 3:49 to go, and you felt like, okay, you need a stop or a bucket. And I talked about it with Tommy on his podcast, that it just felt like Iowa needed one or the other, and it felt a little bit like Nebraska where, and Iowa won that game, but I felt with Nebraska, they just needed a bucket. They almost played a little bit not to lose instead of to win the game. What happened in the last 3:49 at Penn State? Because it felt like a couple stops or a bucket, and you're going home with a victory, and we're not having this conversation right now.
Oh, and the crazy thing is, during that end part, the last 10 minutes of the game, there was a better than 7-minute stretch where Penn State didn't have a field goal. Those are the games you just need to take. And you look through the course of that one, not being able to come up with a big bucket. This has happened a lot for this team. And I think this is the time where some fans start to get frustrated watching it is, what are you running? What are you doing outside of ball screen action? All right, see if Bennett Sturts can do something. Late shot, pass up a good shot with 8 on the shot clock to get a worse shot with 4 on the shot clock. We've seen that a ton throughout the course of this season. Maybe this is just the old school in me, and Mr. Mayer, my high school basketball coach, he's going to love this. Run flex, right? Do something. Run a play. Do something outside of high ball screen, and then just hope for something at the end. That is infuriating, and the opportunities were there. Had the lead, as you mentioned, that stretch where Penn State couldn't get a bucket to go down, and you couldn't overtake it. I think they had leads of 7, 6 twice, 5, all separate times during the course of the game, and they could never balloon it, could never get it up to double figures, could never stretch it out to 10, 12, 15. And because of that, that is where you allow a team just to hang around and make a couple of shots, and obviously that's what happened there. But I'm with you, Matt. When I heard you say that, absolutely loved it. Want to see more out of this one. Don't play stall ball. Go out there, try to make a play, run your offense, do something outside of just hope that Bennett Sturts bails you out.
Yeah, I had Nicholas Baer during the Nebraska game watching on the edge of his seat, texting me like, run a set. Run a, and it was, and I think we talked about it the next day on the show. Get the ball up, usually with 21 seconds left on the clock. Do a couple high ball screens with Coop to kill some time, and then at 9 seconds get another high ball screen or go 1 and 4 and go 4 flat, 1 high and see what you could do. And it just felt like every coach has that favorite play, that set that you can run and you're going to get a bucket. So that was what I kind of felt on Saturday as well. Quickly, and we'll talk some Iowa women, and we'll talk some Iowa State here as well. Trent Condan from the Miller and Condon show, and also host of Locked on Iowa, joining me right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You look at this, and we mentioned the substitution patterns, and I think Tommy mentioned it on his podcast too. I think it was probably Tyler Tashman that asked the question after the game about the substitution pattern, who does it and all that. I don't know what to I get so many text messages. I'm sure people reach out to you with like, what is, and it's been all season, not just after this last game. What's going on with Brendan Haasen? Like, what's the deal with, there's got to be something more. What do you know? You're not like, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm not saying what they're doing with him is a good thing, a bad thing. It's confusing to me. It's confusing that somebody doesn't play for 3 games and then plays important minutes at Penn State. I'll go to the point where and I think Cale Combs has very good value and did a great job defensively against Bruce Thornton and all of that. But there's some games I get done and I'm like, did Cale Combs deserve 30 more minutes than Brendan Haasen? So I think it goes both ways, where it's just, to me, the whole thing is confusing. Can you help me with any clarity? Because it's just confusing.
Frankly, no. And I'm right there with you in terms of the confusion because I've been a longtime proponent of Brendan Hassan getting more minutes and talk about being dead wrong. I mean, when they got him out of the portal, like, all right, well, here's your two guard. I mean, you got to figure it out. Think about stretching the floor with those two guys out there with him and Sturts in the backcourt. It made a whole lot of sense. And we found early on, all right, defensively, he's not up to snuff. He's not what McCollum wants on that side. All right, you get that. But to go not playing 3 games, as you mentioned, and then put him out there for 15 minutes, 11 in the second half, in a game where he wasn't shooting the ball well, he wasn't stretching the floor, he wasn't doing the things. I just want to see him, really, if I had he comes to me, all right, McCollum makes a call. Trent, what do I need to do? Get him a 4-minute stretch in the first half, a 4-minute stretch in the second half, play him at the under 12 timeout each of those halves. I think that's good. It gives you another weapon offensively. You can see if he also has the shot falling, and if it does, then you can rely on him a little bit more. That's what I would love to see, because when you look at this team and the way that they're built, obviously we know that Isaiah Howard's a lot better defender and what he can do. And I was surprised the lack of minutes because I thought we saw good things out of him. Same thing with Tate Sage. And yeah, those freshman moments definitely show up for him. But both of those guys, I thought their minutes were weird. I certainly would have rather seen either of those guys out there during long stretches of the second half. So that's just another one of those confounding things. It doesn't make sense. And it's, I think, difficult for any basketball fan. You're just used to substitution patterns that at least make sense. That one on Saturday made no sense at all.
Yeah, it was weird. It's been weird this year. I will say this. In order to beat Michigan, you might need Brendan Hassan off the bench to make 5 threes, because I think the one way Michigan lost this year when it was Wisconsin was the fact that if you're not Duke, which is not breaking news to anybody watching the show, Iowa is not Duke, but it's to make a lot of 3-pointers, and they haven't done that in a while. It's good to see Cooper Koch get rolling once again. I'm an advocate and a fan of Cooper Koch. I know he went through a bad 6-game stretch, but he's playing better basketball after Penn State and that as well. With that being said, we mentioned Michigan, and I'm going to go up to the game. How does Iowa? I came away from Michigan. We talked with Kedric Prince in the last segment about it. I came away from that Illinois-Michigan game that Michigan is one of the 2 best teams in the country. I love Arizona as well. How does Iowa, what's the recipe to Iowa shocking, I guess, at least the Big Ten, if not the country, on Thursday night?
I think a huge part of it is the 3-point shooting, and you mentioned it there. You go back to the Wisconsin game, and it wasn't just one guy hitting 3-pointers. The whole team was hitting 3-pointers. They did a lot with the pick and pop. That means Fulgaris, I think, is going to have to be a big part of that. We're going to have to see good Fulgaris and him maybe knocking down 3-4 3-pointers, something in that range. The other thing, and what has been kind of the bugaboo, you go back to Michigan and you look at that stretch after the Wisconsin game, and in the middle of conference play, they struggled. I think there was 7 or 8 straight games that they didn't cover, and I jumped on that one for a while as they were winning games outside of the Wisconsin game, but they just weren't playing at their best level. They had their struggles against Penn State. That was another of those games in there. And the one thing that you look at, they didn't shoot it well from the outside. This is not a great 3-point shooting team for Michigan. What you need is them not to make their 3-pointers. That's a component, though they're 36% from behind the arc this year. That's 67th in the country. You need them to have clunkers, like a 5 of 28 from 3. You're forcing them to shoot 3-pointers, and they're not making them. You're going to have a lot of luck go your way, have to stay out of foul trouble, but I think that is the biggest component. Yes, make your shots from the outside, coupled with you need them to have a poor shooting night, and it's really nothing that you do. You just need it to be bad on the other side. This Michigan team, though, they are absolutely loaded, and it's a bad matchup. It's a bad matchup for Iowa. I think the Nebraska game, even with all the extra that goes into it, a road game, it's just the way that the 2 teams match up. I think the Huskers game on the road is more plausible to get the victory compared to this Michigan team. Iowa doesn't have the horses, it doesn't feel like, to be able to run with the Wolverines.
Yeah, I watched that on Friday, and I was blown away. And I'd seen them plenty before, but just I know what that environment's like in Champaign. I know what it can get like. It was a Friday night, all that kind of stuff, and they handled the Fighting Illini, which I think is one of the best 10 teams in the country as well. Trent Condan joining us right now on Off There with Matt Randazzo. The Iowa women, on the other hand, continued to play great basketball. They're the 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. The awards are coming out like here in a few minutes, and they're starting their show and everything. I personally think that Coach Jensen is the coach of the year in the Big Ten. Am I biased? Probably a little bit. I know there was a team that went undefeated, and usually coaches that coach teams that go undefeated win coach of the year honors, but they're just playing. If I would have told you, Trent, to start the season that Iowa went 15-3 in a very good Big Ten and won, 24, 25 games, whatever it is, would you have believed me? I think it's an overachieving team playing its best basketball at the right time of the year right now.
Absolutely. And if you would have asked me that before the year, I would have said no shot. This team was still going to be incredibly young. There were still question marks that we had. We know Taylor McCabe, and obviously she's been lost since then for the season. We always knew she was a great shooter. She turned into a really good defender, and that's something that they lost during that losing streak that they had when McCabe went down, and we definitely found that out of just how important she was to that one. If you would have told me also Emily Rodriguez would have been shut down after the Miami game, no way this is going to happen. So you lose a senior starter. You have one of your role players who very well could have jumped in to the starting lineup that isn't part of it. This is still a team led by underclassmen outside of Hannah Stolke. And what you get, Chit Chat has been a revelation. I don't think anybody could have anticipated the season that she has had. Journey Houston, I absolutely love her game. Tough, gritty, goes in there undersized. She gets rebounds. She makes open shots. This squad has certainly overachieved, I think, where anybody's realistic expectations could have been. Jan Jensen definitely should be there, but I think you're right. Corey Close is probably going to be the coach of the year.
Trent, when you look at it too, misery loves company when it comes to the college basketball. One of my sons was like, Dad, Iowa lost, but Iowa State lost and Illinois lost too. And I'm like, yeah, misery does love company. I know you talk a lot of Cyclones in that area as well. Is there any cause for concern with Iowa State? Obviously last night is at Arizona, big Monday, tough, tall task. I don't think that's the end of the world. Coupling it with Texas Tech, is it just a bad stretch? Is there any reason for concern? Your thoughts on the Cyclones right now with one game left in Big 12 play?
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit of angst out there because this is yet another year where we see Iowa State get off to a tremendous start. We're starting to talk about them. Is this the year they break through, get back to an Elite Eight like they did back in 2000? Can they get to a Final Four? And it's not just on the local front. It's on the national front. You're hearing people talk about that. But again, it is struggles down the stretch. They've lost 3 out of 4. They've lost, 4 out of their last 7 games. This is something that happened a year ago. They're kind of catching a little oil there at the end. They lost 3 out of their last 5 at the end of the season. And with TJ Otzelberger, we know there's no days off, right? The practices are always intense. That's something that they talk about a ton inside that program. In the past, they haven't had a whole lot of depth. And that was the reason, because they're playing and really playing, not just playing, a couple minutes here and there. They're playing 8 guys. Because of the depth that they were playing with this year, I thought that this had a chance to be different at the end of the season, even what they do in Kansas City. And that's another fun thing, too. I continue to hear from Cyclone fans is it's great. It's a great party down in Kansas City. It's so much fun for the fan base, but they want to see more in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. And I think there's more and more people that are saying, go down there, maybe win the opening round game. It looks like they're going to have to play an extra game, win that game as a 5 seed, play the 4. And if they lose, that's fine. They just want to get this team healthy, get them right, because there's been so many times recently where we've seen them in the tournament and they just look like a tired team. And you saw it last night. That, again, looked like a tired Iowa State basketball team.
You look at it, Trent, and then so many times towards the end of the season. I think it's the case right now with the Big 12 and the Big 10. I think it bodes well for maybe both conferences outside of conference play and in the NCAA tournament, but it's a grind. You just mentioned 3 or 4 losses for Iowa State. Illinois lost 2 straight, 3 or 4, I believe. Iowa's lost 4 or 6, I think. I have a feeling that, it's just a grind in these conferences, playing teams over and over again. The coaching's really good. The style of play is what it is. Do you have any belief in that once they quit beating up on each other, things might be better in a couple of weekends when the NCAA tournament starts?
I think so. I think that's good for everybody. And it's not just a Big 10 or Big 12 thing. I think it's everywhere. I watched the Missouri Valley a lot with Drake and UNI, and I think you see that there. You saw UNI that looked like they're on their way maybe to the number 2 seed. They lose back-to-back home games against Southern Illinois and against, Illinois State at the end of the regular season before getting the finale against Drake. I think you see it everywhere because these teams do know each other well. And I think the Big 12, they made the right choice, something that the Big 10 hasn't done, of going back to an 18-game conference schedule because of what you just mentioned and just the mire that you get through. I know it's tough when you're playing as many games and have as many teams as the Big Ten does now with the 18 teams in there, and you want to play as many teams as many times as possible, and at least getting the 3 that they do right now with the double plays. But I think it makes a whole lot of sense. We've seen this happen more and more in college basketball. They were ballooning up to that 20-game conference schedule and now pulling back a little bit. And I do wonder, I know the coaches would love it, the opportunity to have a little bit more flexibility in their non-conference scheduling, but secondly, just the factor, and when you're talking about a conference in the Big Ten that still hasn't won a national championship since back in 2000, it's a question that's going to remain. And if Michigan doesn't get it done this year, I think those questions are going to come back once again. Does it make sense for the betterment of your league as a whole, where the ultimate goal is to win a national championship, if you're playing 20 league games?
Trent, I know I got to let you go. You got stuff to do for your show. Last question. And as a guy who needs content for 2 hours every day, I shouldn't move away from the conference tournament. But I'm to this point now where, like, yes, the conference tournaments are fun. I agree with Tom Kakert that the cake is baked for the most part when it gets to the conference tournaments. They're fun to watch. But I go back to Iowa winning the Big Ten tournament and then going out to Buffalo and laying an egg and going like, nobody remembers the fact they won the Big Ten tournament back in, 2019 or whatever it was. They care about the NCAA tournament, the fact they haven't been to the Sweet 16 since 1999, Trent, for Christ's sake. With that being said, this is an unfair question, but have you thought about a Final Four? Do you have a Final Four in your mind when it comes to the 4 teams you maybe like the most? I know it all. I know matchups and brackets are all important, all those kind of things. So with that caveat, what's your Final Four?
It's very chalky at this point, and it won't be when the bracket comes out. Now, I've been pretty successful in bracket contests throughout the years. I've done some good things. When it was up in Minneapolis, yes, I was able to cover that Final Four. Yes. So I've been pretty good in the past, way back in high school, won a big one up in Mitchell County, and won a little bit of money as a high school senior. So I've been pretty successful.
Mitchell County.
That's right. Yes. Everybody across Mitchell County, they remember that one back in the mid-'90s and what I was doing. But I think right now it's chalky without knowing the matchups. It is. I think I don't have UConn quite there, but it's Michigan, it's Duke, it's Arizona, and it'd be Florida for me if I had to pick 4. But I know when we get there, that is not going to be the case. I still have plenty of teams that I have circled. I cannot get off Houston. I also have a lot of futures tickets on the Cougars, so maybe that's the reason behind it. I really like that team. I had a lot of Texas Tech before the JT Toppin injury, and glad that I couldn't just rip those up, and they're still sitting in my account. I like Virginia. I know it looked terrible against Duke on Saturday. Still, this is a Virginia team with a guy that Iowa almost got. And boy, if you think if DeRitter was there right now, another big guy, how different things could be for the Hawkeyes, because that guy is an absolute stud. If you're looking towards that next tier of team, though, certainly like Virginia. I got my eye on North Carolina. Caleb Wilson's coming back. That's another squad. And I got a real big ticket. If St. Louis makes it to the Final Four, I'll buy your next couple of beers when we meet up, Matt, if that happens.
I like
the Billikens, I got them, and it goes all the way back to when Iowa played them in the secret scrimmage, and heard the way that the Billikens kind of ran circles around the Hawkeyes for a while in that one. So we got a deep shot on that one. I think 160-1. Just got a couple of bucks on it, but still, that'd be a big one. And I still like that Billiken team, even as they've taken a couple losses this year. They're so fun to watch offensively. So, yeah, it's very top-heavy at this moment, but those are a few of the other teams I at least have circled right now when the brackets come out.
But, Trent, that is college basketball now. With the transfer portal and everything else, and we kind of talked about it a lot last year, the Cinderella stuff, I think, isn't a thing anymore. I think it's going to be, which makes for great TV. I know I love Cinderellas and all that stuff. I like them early in the tournament. But if you can give me Michigan and versus Duke and Houston versus UConn in the Final Four, I'll watch those games all day long, and it's high-level basketball. So, we got time before you win all your brackets. I appreciate you taking the time. Once again, don't forget Miller and Condon on here in the Quad Cities on 12:30, noon till 2. So don't leave now. But at noon, you can go check them out. It's on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. And then, of course, he's the host of Locked On Iowa. Go St. Louis and buy me some beer soon, okay?
That sounds great, Dazzo.
All right. I appreciate you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. That is Trent Condan joining us right here and Off There with Matt Randazzo. And I wanted to have him on for several reasons, but he's right. We talked about him on the Hawkeye podcast with Tom Kakert, the Hawkeye Report podcast, that, and I don't think it was, I know some people got a little cranky because like you hear the honeymoon's over and you think, well, now he's out on McCollum. He's not out on McCollum. It's just time to maybe be okay to question some things that happen in the program, which is, I think, completely 1,000% fair. So Iowa, Michigan, Thursday night, Carver Hawkeye Arena. We'll continue to preview it throughout the week right here on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Coming up after the break, we will move to the high school level. The Riverdale Rams are in the sectionals tonight. We'll chat with 3 of their standouts about their regional championship and much more. You watch an OTA on a Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities.
Hey, I'm the Crawford guy.
Ooh, do you guys always speak at the same time?
Sorry, guys. I'll go first. You know, if you need help with your heating or air conditioning, or electrical, or plumbing, Crawford Company can solve your problem.
But what about your problem?
What problem?
Do you not hear yourselves? Take it from me, the Crawford lady.
And me, the Crawford guy.
Crawford is the comfort company.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Awesome time of year for high school sports and high school basketball. The postseason trail continuing on both sides of the river. Coming up this week in Iowa, we'll punch tickets for the boys to Des Moines next week. And on the Illinois side of the river, sectionals will take center stage, and several teams still alive in our area, including the Riverdale Rams out in Riverdale. The Rams, of course, winning a regional last week, joined now by a trio of Rams right now. Abram Creer, Paxton Cadu, and Colton Clark joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Guys, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was a fun week. It seems like everything's great at Riverdale. Like the football team's good, the volleyball team's good, girls basketball team. You guys following in those footsteps as well. I'll start with you, Abram. What was Friday night like, and what it mean to get that plaque and win a regional championship?
I would say is extremely exciting. You know, just seeing the amount of work that your teammates put in throughout the summer, you know, including the season. And, you know, Paxton with 8 threes, you know, that's exciting to see him succeed like that.
You guys got off to a great start. Paxton, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because being on a big stage in a championship game for a regional, it had to help calm nerves, I guess. Talk about the start of that game and obviously what it meant to you guys.
I'd say at the start we had we were down 6-1 at the start, and we hit a layup. I hit a 3, tied the game, and then we just took the lead from there, and we didn't give it back.
What did it mean, Paxton, to come up big the way you did? You talked about hitting a 3. You hit 8 of them. I know your teammates are supposed to talk you up. I'm gonna make you talk about yourself for a second. What was working that night? I know you're a elite shooter, but what was it about Friday night that felt good for you?
It means a lot to do that. I mean, it doesn't happen much, and when it does, it feels really good. Yeah.
Colton, you guys are younger, if you will. You're a sophomore, a couple juniors with you. I know that it's a young team overall. Did you guys expect to have this type of success this year? Kind of talk about maybe being hungry despite maybe being a little younger or not senior dominated, if you will.
Well, I mean, at the beginning of the season, I feel like no one really believed in us besides our teammates, all of us. We knew the work that we put in, and we knew that we were young and we didn't have much hype, but we were confident in ourselves.
Abram, talk about that, because every team kind of recognizes maybe during the year, maybe what they are. Was there a point in the year where you guys kind of sat back and said, like, hey, we're pretty good. We can be this type of team? Was it before the season? Was it a game during the season? When did you guys kind of see what this team could be?
I'd say in the summer, I think we knew that we were good. Like, it didn't matter how old we are, just our talent shows that we're good enough. But I would say a turning point was maybe Davenport West, when we came back down 25 in the fourth quarter and forced into double overtime against a MAC school. So I do think that was a game that kind of showed like we're pretty good and we can compete with anyone.
Paxton, you guys play in a really good conference. You didn't win a conference championship, but you were right there in the mix. And that conference, I think, prepared people for the postseason. And it was a dogfight every night. Kind of talk about the battles you guys had on Tuesdays and Fridays with the Sherrards and Orions of the world to kind of get you ready for what this postseason was like.
We had a lot of battles with Sherrard and Orion, and we had a loss to Mercer County that not many people expected. If we won that game, we probably would have won conference. We had a tough loss to Sherrard at home Friday night. We won that, win conference. We beat Orion in the Christmas tournament, and we beat them by, I'd say, 15. And then we went to their place and got whooped. And then they came to our place, our last conference game, and we whooped them. So it was kind of a get back there, and that kind of helped us get second.
Yeah, plenty of momentum going into the postseason, Colton. No coach is ever happy. I'm sure Alex is that way as well. But you guys look over at them. They always want more, but you want to be playing your best basketball at the right time of the year. Are you guys, I'm sure there's more to be done and all that kind of stuff, but do you guys feel like you're peaking or playing some of your best basketball as the big games come in regionals and now in sectionals?
Yeah, I think we're doing way better than we were earlier on the season. I think we're on like a 9-game winning streak, and so that's definitely good to have a streak at the end of the season.
Abram, talk about this celebration, because I know it's special to win a regional, and it's something that school has done a lot of succeeding lately. It's a good thing. What was it like to be out there and enjoying that and bringing back more hardware to a school like Riverdale?
It feels rewarding. Like, you don't want to be that one team left out that didn't win something in the winter. And so just to be able to have another plaque is nice to have.
Absolutely. Paxton, is there something in the water out there? What's making y'all good at everything? What's going on at Riverdale?
I don't know. I'm just kind of hot right now.
No, it's a great thing. Colton, you guys get to play more basketball and move ahead to a really good sectional. I know you get to celebrate on Friday night and enjoy it. When did you guys get back to work, and how important it is to get back to work? Because a lot of teams aren't practicing this time of year. You guys are. You have more games to be played. Kind of talk about the mindset of this team as you get ready to move into sectionals.
Yeah, after we won, we had practice the next day, and then the next after that, and we've been having practice every single day. And I think it's good to keep working because we want more than just a regional.
Absolutely. Abram, it's no secret that the team that's next is pretty good, has a good history, all those kind of things. Perry Manuel, how do you prepare for, get ready for that team? And obviously it's a team this year. It's not the history of or all the records that are coming with, but it's a really good basketball team. What do you see in Perry Manuel? What do you expect coming up on Tuesday night?
They're extremely athletic, lengthy, but I would say at the end of the day, just play our game. Like, they still have to stop us. So stay composed during the game because all the emotions and the crowd and stuff. But at the end of the day, they still have to stop us.
Paxton, do you sit back and enjoy what's going on for a second? I know you're focused, you're working hard, next game, all those kind of things, but you guys are doing something that a lot of high schoolers would love to be doing. Do you sit back and enjoy that you're playing high school basketball in sectionals in a big game? Can you enjoy it as well as work and be ready for the games ahead?
I'd say sometimes it's hard to enjoy it because you got to look on to the next game. You can't just get stuck on one win. You got to go to the next.
I love it. I love it. Colton, you got a pretty good head coach. He's a former Pioneer. He's a good dude. What does that guy mean to the program? Obviously, he's built something really great out there at at Riverdale. And not that it's bad before he came, but he's done a great job at Riverdale. What does that guy mean? What kind of coach is he with you guys?
I think he's a great coach. He pushes us more than probably any other coach. I think that he has a winning mentality, and he is, a great coach.
No, he is. Abram, I know he's probably sitting there looking at you guys, so I don't want you to get in trouble or anything, but kind of talk about him and what he means to the program. And you guys like to have fun. I know Coach is a serious guy, but he likes to have fun as well. What are practices like with him, and what's game day like with Coach?
Practices are extremely intense. You'll be able to have a little, laughs here or there, but you got to stay focused because you never know when he's just going to, let's say, explode. But also another word I would describe is he's never satisfied. You could win like 10 games in a row, but you still got to show up for practice. It never gets easier, it only gets harder with him.
No, he's expecting a lot, and rightfully so. Paxton, what was school like this week? What has it been like this week with the celebrating and all that kind of stuff, and the buzz around this program? Have you guys enjoyed that side of things a little bit?
School's been kind of normal, except teachers have walked up to us, said, "Nice job. Heard you had a really good game." Asked us how we felt. Kids have just said, "Really nice job." It's just kind of been cool, I'd say.
Absolutely. All right, guys, let's have some fun before I let you guys get out of here. Colton, you guys, I'm a foodie. I like to eat. Is there any post-game tradition? Do you guys go someplace to eat when you guys get done with a win or a loss, or what's the food of choice maybe for this team?
After every win, we usually go out and eat, especially on a Friday night. We usually go to sometimes McDonald's because it's in LeClaire, like close to us, but also Buffalo Wild Wings. And just after the regional win, we went to Texas Roadhouse, some of us at least.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, stay with Buffalo Wild Wings. It's funny because I did one of the shows out in Riverdale for football season. They mentioned going over and always eating at McDonald's, and whoever was I asked, I think he spent $30 himself and his McDonald's order was crazy. I want to stay with Buffalo Wild Wings with you, Colton, because are you a spicy guy? Are you at least getting Colton? You're getting barbecue or something like that?
Honey barbecue wings, yeah.
Ooh, honey barbecue, not barbecue. Are you at least getting the bone in like an adult? Or are you getting the boneless stuff?
Boneless.
Colton, you're getting chicken nuggets. You're basically getting high-priced chicken nuggets.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they're good. That's the beautiful part. Abram, superstitions-wise, especially this time of year, it's March Madness, all those kind of things. Is this team superstitious at all? You're laughing, so possibly. And if not this team, are you superstitious?
I wouldn't say I'm superstitious, but there's a certain teammate that has an extreme superstition that, I won't say his name or stuff, but
okay.
I don't know. What should I say? I don't know.
Say it.
Yeah.
He always likes to change his underwear and socks, which I think is too much.
Before the game.
The game. I
was going to say, changing your underwear is a good thing in general, boys. I don't know if you knew that, but you want to do that in life. But, how close to game time?
I'll say 10 minutes before we talk, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just...
I
don't know. I don't know if I would ever do that.
Is he on the screen right now?
No, he's not.
Okay, it's none of you three. Anything else? Paxton, I'll go to you. Are you superstitious? You're knocking down 8 threes and stuff. Is there like a pregame meal or music you listen to? Is there anything superstitious about you?
Yeah, I'd say I'm very superstitious. Before the game on Friday, we had everybody sat in the same spot. Everybody rode the same bus. I have to do the same thing every single day. It just makes me feel right, I'd say.
All right. Hey, do what you have to do if you keep on shooting the way you're shooting. And boys, let him do whatever the heck he wants to do if he keeps on shooting the basketball like that. Colton, anything weird with you? I mean, superstitious. Weird
no.
is obvious. Nothing?
No, not really.
Nothing. All right. Well, then I'll ask you. We're going to go down the row. We'll start with Colton. If you could have dinner with one person in the entire world, dead or alive, whatever you want to do, it's my show. I can do what I want. Who would it be and why?
Probably Michael Jordan because he's the GOAT.
Oh, good man. I like giving Colton a hard time, and he comes in and as a youngster, he knows. That's your parents probably talking. They've raised you correctly. Paxton.
Yeah.
Who you having dinner with and why?
That's a hard one. Can it be an animal?
That's
my dog.
That'll be your first. Yes, your dog.
Yeah.
So you take, but you can't talk to your dog.
He's gone. He's gone.
Oh, okay. So he'd come back.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah. Just experience one more time with him.
Now you make me feel bad because I was going to make fun of you about having dinner with your dog, and now that makes sense. That's well done. Abram, are you having dinner with a cat or what? What's going on?
No. I'm gonna have dinner with Caleb Williams
because
he's just best quarterback.
Are you guys going to paint nails and stuff while you're at dinner?
I don't know. Maybe.
We'll see. I'm a Lions fan. I can't stand Caleb Williams. So I'm sorry. Don't you patronize me. All right, Colton, one last question. Who's the best coach you've ever had in basketball?
Definitely Coach Kelly. I think.
Are you serious, Colton?
Yeah, sorry.
Think back. No, think back. Think back to like first, second grade, maybe fifth grade during COVID, maybe a few summer tournaments here and there. Nothing?
No, probably not.
Come on, man. I yelled at you in the best way possible.
You're a close second.
Okay, I'll take second. Am I a better coach than Brad Jackson?
Sure.
I'll take it. Right now, I will take sure and run. Colton, I coached Colton in first and second grade, and we had the greatest Y team in the history of the entire world. And then a little bit in fifth grade and some summer stuff and everything. Colton, you've talked more on this show than maybe you did entire first and second grade, which I'm extremely happy for. So, great job. Boys, best of luck. Before I let you go, I'll finish with you, Abram. Just the thought process going into this week, and maybe David versus Goliath, all that kind of stuff. Thought process for you guys as you get ready for a big game on Tuesday night.
Just play hard. That's it.
That's
win or go home. So you just got to give it all.
That's a great way to end it. Boys, you did a fantastic job. Tell your coach I said hi. Best of luck Tuesday night, and hopefully we can talk again soon. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That is a trio of Riverdale Rams joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Big game for them coming up tonight against a very good Peoria Emanuel team, but it's been a fun season for them so far. I think they've kind of flown under the radar and maybe not rightfully so, and the future's so bright with so many young sophomores and juniors on that team. It should be a fun ride tonight, the rest of the way, and then also next season as well, as long as coach doesn't mess it up. So, all right, we got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. It's a Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. we got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. A thank you to the Riverdale Boys for taking the time to join us. Big game for them tonight against Peoria Manual. Best of luck, of course, to them. As we've been rocking and rolling through the show, the Big Ten is currently announcing their women's awards for the Big Ten basketball season. Ava Hayden is officially a first-team All Big Ten performer, rightfully so. She's had a fantastic season, averaging 17.6 points per game. So Ava Hayden is first team All Big Ten for the first time. Also, Hannah Stolke, second team All Big Ten. I believe that's the fourth straight years she's received that type of honor. So All Big Ten in some capacity every year at the University of Iowa. Kylie Feuerbach is officially on the Big Ten all defensive team. Somewhere, our good friend Kyle Huseman is giving high fives and chest bumping people and everything else. He did not have a vote, but if he did, he would have put her on there, and he's been very outspoken for that, as has a lot of the Iowa media as well. Kylie gets on a team she deserves to be on. Big Ten all defensive team, and Addie Deal has been named all Big Ten freshman team as well. I'm trying to figure out, no offense to Addie, but if Addie's on there, how is Journey Houston not on there? Hasn't Journey Houston been better this year than Addie Deal? Now, Addie had a couple brilliant games and was probably all Big Ten freshman of the week several times, maybe twice. So maybe that's what put her over the top. But I'm trying to look down some other ones. This is just being announced as we're kind of going through it. Those are the Iowa side of things. I don't know the Illinois side of things, which of course will mean I'll get yelled at and all that kind of stuff. But I'm okay with that. Actually, Barry Wallace, unanimous Big Ten, all Big Ten first team by the coaches. Destiny Jackson and Sierra Parchment is all Big Ten freshman honors. So that's the wrap up, for the Illini as they get ready for the Big Ten tournament. Also, the Illinois men will be in action tonight against Oregon. We want to thank Kedric Prince for joining us earlier in the show to kind of talk some Illinois basketball as they get ready for senior day, senior night. They have a game against Maryland coming up this weekend, Big Ten tournament, and then, of course, a big NCAA tournament for Illinois as well. Also, we're joined by Trent Condan talking Iowa women, a little Iowa State as well. Make sure you check out Miller and Condon on right here in the Quad Cities, AM 1230 from noon to 2 every single day. They're on in Des Moines, in Sioux City, in Cedar Rapids, in Iowa City, here in the Quad Cities. So that's on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. So thank you to Trent for joining us on today's show as well. A few NFL things before we get out of here. One, David Montgomery was traded by the Lions yesterday. Had a lot of people reaching out to me. What do I think? All those kind of things. I love David Montgomery. He had Sonic Knuckles and it was the best backfield in the NFL. But if anybody was watching over the years, it started as a 50-50 split and then probably went to like 60-40, 65-35. This past year was 80-20. And the running game wasn't as good in Detroit. It probably had nothing to do with the guys toting the football. The offensive line took a step back. Hopefully it gets fixed this year. So I love David Montgomery. But in the NFL, you got to get rid of emotional attachments, and I think the Lions did a good job. They gave David Montgomery everything he wanted. It wasn't Detroit didn't want him anymore. He wanted to be a bigger part of the offense, and that just simply wasn't going to happen in Detroit. So not only did they trade him like he wanted, but his preferred destination was the Texans. So they sent him to where he wanted to go. The Lions getting back a 4th, a 7th, and a backup offensive lineman, most likely, I think is a great haul. So, again, going to turn 29. I think David Montgomery has some years left in him, but he wasn't going to be getting – every time you handed the football off to him, you weren't giving it to the best running back in football, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. So, I think it's just like they got rid of Jamal Williams several years ago. Lions fans and the emotional part of football was like, man, he set the record for touchdowns in a season set by Barry Sanders, and he broke that, and all of those kind of things. And they got rid of and upgraded, and I think most likely they'll, I don't want to say upgrade because I really like Monty, but I most likely will be just fine in the backfield. And they turned it into a 4th round pick, a 7th round pick next year, and a piece in the offensive line room. So, and again, I said at the beginning of the show, several Bears fans reach out to me saying the Bears have the best backfield in the NFC North. No, they don't. I could be the backup running back for the Lions, and the Lions still have the best running game in the North. Plain and simple. Jahmyr Gibbs is a superstar. So I'm not going to be said running back and backup, but it's going to be a really interesting month. March Madness for basketball. It's March Madness for the NFL. I mean, they just got done with the combine. Trades are already happening. And now one last thing before I let you guys go today. The Bears are the betting favorite to land Max Crosby. So the odds on DraftKings, the Bears are 2-1 odds to have Max Crosby on the team next year. Next are the Raiders, the team he's with, which means no trade, at plus 350. And then there's 5 teams at plus 700. Cowboys, Eagles, Rams, Bills, Ravens. I hope he goes to the Ravens or the Bills. Get him to the AFC. I don't need him in the NFC. And then I think the Lions were plus 1,000. And then there was one other. I think the Bucks maybe at plus 1,200. So keeping your eyes on that as well. I will say this. People look at that and say, well, people think that he's going to the Bears. And he could. I'm not saying he's not, and it would suck for me, and he's a hell of a football player. But that's not how Vegas works. Vegas works because of where the money's going on and who's betting them to a certain spot. So if Meatball Bears fans are jumping on and putting money down on Max Crosby going to Vegas, that's going to make the line go in that direction as well. So anyways, we'll keep an eye on that. It should be a crazy. And then next week, free agency begins. So it's going to be a fascinating time when it comes to the NFL. Hopefully this week as well, the Combine is done. Hoping to get Scott Docterman on the show as well. He was in Indianapolis for the Combine. A lot of Iowa representation there. We'll pick his brain. Hopefully later this week as well. Also later this week, coming up on Thursday, the voice of the Iowa women's basketball team, Rob Brooks, is going to join us as we get ready for the Big Ten tournament. Iowa, again, will play on Friday at 5:30. We'll have Kyle Huseman on sometime this week as well. We'll have Tanner Lefevre on to talk about the national tournament for the Iowa wrestling team for the women. We'll also have Jake Brend on tomorrow talking Cyclones. The Maquoketa girls hopefully will join us after their historic win last night as well. So a lot of stuff to get to this week. I feel like we have a lot to get to because we're a day behind because I took the day off yesterday to go to Father Marabelli's funeral. But we have a lot to get to this week. So thank you guys for watching today's show. Again, thank you to our guests, Kedric Prince, Trent Condan, and the Riverdale Boys basketball team for joining us. Best of luck to the Central DeWitt Sabres. The girls hit the floor in Des Moines at 1:30. So best of luck to them. Best of luck to Riverdale, Newman, other teams playing tonight on the boys' side of things. And then 2 teams, boys-wise, in Iowa. North Scott and Muscatine both go on the road, probably as underdogs, but with a chance to punch their ticket to state. And I'll tell you what, both teams have plenty of talent and can easily get the job done tonight. So we'll talk about all of that and much more tomorrow on OTA. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.